Welcome to Long COVID Radical Self-Care, where I provide non-medical tips to support your healing journey. Simple things you can do for yourself to create the right conditions for better physical and mental health. Before I start getting into some tips you can start to apply today, I want to take a few minutes to acknowledge what we've been through as a global community and what you may be going through as someone with long COVID, which is also known as long haul COVID. The global pandemic has caused emotional trauma I think we'll be unpacking for years to come. Honoring that trauma allows us to be kinder to each other and kinder to ourselves. Every journey is different, but everyone has experienced loss of one kind or another. Loss of a job, loss of income, loss of a business they worked years to build. Some people have lost relationships, lost education, or lost social experiences. Important life milestones have been missed or scaled back. Events like weddings, graduations, baby celebrations. You may have lost loved ones because of COVID or during COVID. In either case, you may have lost the opportunity to hold your loved one's hand and say a private goodbye, or have a traditional funeral. I know this pain personally. I lost my mother to COVID and said goodbye on a group Zoom call with a social worker I didn't know holding a tablet for her, making a private moment awkward despite everyone's best intentions. I missed her funeral because I was sick myself, and I'm not unique. I know millions of other families have had similar experiences. Maybe you have. Even if you only experienced a couple of the losses I've mentioned, those are big losses. If you're dealing with long COVID on top of that, you're dealing with another major trauma. If you have long COVID, you already know it can bring a whole whack of physical and mental symptoms. I've seen articles that associate more than 200 wide-ranging symptoms to long COVID. In addition to the symptoms themselves, you're probably dealing with the emotional fallout caused by the symptoms, such as frustration, hopelessness, and maybe some fear. I've heard people use the term languishing to describe the lack of joy and motivation a lot of people are feeling right now, and maybe you can relate to that. You may feel debilitating pain or fatigue, but you look healthy, and your test results may come back normal. On one hand, you're happy about every test result that comes back normal. On the other hand, it doesn't bring you any closer to answers, and that may leave you feeling frustrated or invalidated. Normally, we rely on doctors when we have medical issues. If you had foot pain, for example, you would go see your doctor, they would conduct some tests and give you a prescription, or arrange physiotherapy or surgery to address the problem. That's not the case for those of us with long COVID. Because it's a new condition, doctors don't have answers yet. There's lots of research underway, but I suspect it will be a few years before they really understand long COVID and have effective, evidence-based treatments. And that's discouraging if your life's on hold as you wait for help. You may also be dealing with family and friends who don't understand what you're going through, and may be feeling some guilt that you're not contributing more to the household. And if you're facing financial strain or trying to get disability benefits approved, that can cause even more stress. I'm talking about all of this not to deepen your pain, but to honor it and acknowledge it. I want to encourage you to give yourself some compassion. And if you're feeling guilty or kicking yourself for being sick, I invite you to take a deep breath and acknowledge you're doing the best you can. You're going through something unprecedented, and people who haven't walked in your shoes can't fully understand it. Commit to take the best care of yourself you can. My mission is to provide tips and tools to help you on your journey to wellness. Simple things you can do that will improve your quality of life now and in the future. To be clear, I am not a doctor or therapist. I'm a licensed metaphysical minister, and I've studied body-mind health for over 30 years. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term metaphysics, simply put, it's the study of the relationship between mind and matter, which includes mind and body. I've worked with shamans of several different traditions and overcame another chronic condition, fibromyalgia, many years ago. What's fascinating is that much of what I learned from spiritual teachers is now backed by science, and I'll share some of that in future episodes. In this series of videos, I'm sharing with you the best of what I've learned in over 30 years of searching and trying different things. The tactics I found that worked for me and might help you too. I can't promise you a cure, but I believe I can help you create the conditions that will unleash your own healing power and find more health, more joy, and more fulfillment in your life. Before I go any further, if you're struggling with depression or feel like you can't go on, please call a suicide hotline in your area right now. No matter how dark things may seem, your life can get better. Keep searching for the right therapy or treatment program for you. Your life matters. There's no magic bullet for long COVID or any other chronic illness, but there are things you can do for yourself that will set you on a better path. Our bodies have an incredible ability to heal themselves when we provide the right environment. I can't tell you exactly what the right healing conditions are for you because every body is different, but I believe deeply that you have the answers within you, and I can help you connect to that wisdom. One of my teachers, Dr. Lissa Rankin, author of Mind Over Medicine, calls it your inner pilot light, that little voice within you that knows what's right for you. Some people refer to it as intuition or simply gut instinct. Whatever you call it, we all have it, and when you start to listen to it and make positive changes and see small improvements to your health, you'll start to feel more hope, and that hope will fuel even more change and improvement. My hope for you is that one day you'll look back on your long COVID journey and say, that was tough, but some good came of it. I learned a lot. My life is different, but better. There's a Chinese proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So let's get started. The path to wellness starts with creating what I call your healing cocoon, an environment that helps you focus on you, creating the physical and mental space to connect with your body, mind, and spirit. It starts with making some lifestyle adjustments to reduce the leaks of your physical, mental, and emotional energy. Today we're going to talk about conserving your mental energy, and we'll talk about physical energy in an upcoming episode. Anyone who's ever spent a day with someone they don't like knows it can be as exhausting as a long hike uphill. I call that an energy leak. The first step to creating your healing cocoon is to reduce some of the negative influences, the energy leaks around you. I'd like you to think for a moment about a plant. If you have a plant that doesn't seem to be flourishing, what's the first thing you do? You look at its environment, right? You look to see whether it's getting too much or too little sun, whether it's getting too much or too little water, whether there's a problem with the soil or pests. When you're not flourishing, it's time to reevaluate your environment too, and work to create the physical and mental space that's more conducive to healing. Start by looking at your lifestyle and daily routine from an emotional point of view. Make a conscious effort to notice which people and activities in your life lighten your mood and make you feel good, and those that leave you feeling stressed, angry, burdened, or unhappy. I don't expect you to eliminate all the things that make you unhappy. The goal right now is just to reduce them where you can. It might mean declining some social invitations or not chatting to someone as often as you would have in the past. The fact is that negative emotions have a physiological impact on your body that will slow healing. There's plenty of research on this that I won't bother to go into now, but you can look into it yourself if that interests you. Bruce Lipton wrote a great book called The Biology of Belief that includes a lot of the science. Anyway, Here's an example of how I've applied this in my own life. I've always prided myself on being reasonably well informed and aware of current events. But the news these days is depressing, to say the least. And I found myself watching it way too much. First obsessing about pandemic numbers and then the war in Ukraine. When I checked in emotionally, I realized it was leaving me feeling sad and powerless. I knew it wasn't helping my medical, mental, or physical health. So I committed to not turn on the news before 6 p.m. and to limit myself to a couple hours a day of news media, including online articles. I found that was plenty to stay up to date and reduce the emotional drain. It's also opened up some time in my day for more positive activities. I started listening to more TED Talks, podcasts, and webinars that lifted my mood and opened my mind. Social media can be another energy leak in your life. Notice your mood before you log on to it and how you feel when you close it. If it's not bringing you joy and inspiration, consider putting some limits on it or taking a hiatus to focus on your health. Another aspect of your environment to think about is the people around you, your friends, family, colleagues. Notice how you feel when you're around them, and perhaps even more importantly, how you feel when the interaction ends. When I'm driving home from a social engagement, I consciously assess whether I feel better or worse than when I drove there. Let's face it, there are people who lift us up and people who wear us down mentally. To take better care of yourself, reduce the amount of time you spend with people who leave you feeling bad. If you can't totally cut off contact, make an effort to reduce it. Sometimes you may even need to reduce conversations with people who are supportive, just to conserve your energy. When I'm having a bad day or week and someone is calling to see how I'm doing, I sometimes know it's not going to be helpful to talk about it. In these cases, I just text them and tell them I'm having a rough day and I'll call them back soon. I did this many times in the early days of long COVID. I chose rest and meditation over conversations. To create the right environment for healing, you need to be as fiercely protective of your physical, mental, and emotional energy as you would be protective of someone you love who is recovering from a serious illness. So here's your assignment should you wish to accept it. For the next week, at lunch, dinner, and bedtime, mentally note the things you did since the last check-in and how it affected you emotionally. Did it lift your mood or drop it? Make some adjustments to reduce the energy drains in your life. Now, I'm not suggesting you walk out on your marriage or make major life decisions. Even a few small changes will make a difference. Set an alarm on your cell phone if you need a reminder to check in emotionally a few times a day. Drop a note in the comments below and let me know what you've discovered is draining your emotional energy. Your experience might help others. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. In the next video, I'll be talking about bringing more positive energy into your life. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss future episodes, and turn on notifications to get a message when a new episode is uploaded. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.